Greetings, Legionnaires, and welcome to the Wrestling Legion Weekly Podcast. Bit of a change this week. We're on Saturday instead of Sunday. It's our very good friend On The Mat's birthday tomorrow. We're celebrating with him, so we thought we'd bring it to you on Saturday this week as opposed to Sunday. Sorry for the upgrade. I am Nick the Geek. I am joined today by two fantastic minds, two brilliant friends. I am joined by my partner in crime, as always. Simon, how are you doing?
I'm absolutely fantastic, mate. And yeah, it's a good time to give a dedication to On The Mat tomorrow. A good friend of ours. I hope he has a great birthday. We'll be seeing him tomorrow. So that's why we're here, like you say. I'm great. Good to be here.
And we are joined by the Redeemer himself. We are joined by Andy. Andy, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, mate. Again, just to echo everybody's sentiment. Happy birthday, Big Matty. Hope you have a great day.
Indeed. Right, fair bit to talk about this week, lads. Not a massive week in wrestling because obviously the Rumble we've just had, everything goes on. But still, a lot of good shows this week. I know Simon's got a lot to say about AEW Dynamite. So we will get to Dynamite shortly. First of all, we're going to start with what I think was the highlights of the week this week. Two unbelievable promo segments on Raw and SmackDown, respectively. The first with Paul Heyman and Cody Rhodes, which nearly made me cry. Well, it did make me cry, I'm not going to lie. And then the second one with just a load of pure raw emotion on SmackDown with Sami Zayn and Paul Heyman. So, Andy, I'm assuming you've watched these promos. What do you think? Which one do you think delivered better? And do you think this has helped solve the problem of Sami and Cody?
No. I feel like Sami done it better. I did like the emotion that was in Cody's, but again, I feel like it's just being thrust upon us, and I feel like there's more. How can I put this? There's more heat between Paul Heyman and Cody than there is Roman and Cody, and I don't like that.
Okay, Si. Our friend Jimmy, shout out to the King, having a good chat with me the other day, and he believes that the promo. Hello, Courtney. The promo with Cody and Paul would have been better delivered the Monday after Elimination Chamber. Do you think that having this promo now kind of stumps Sami's chances a little bit more in the eyes of the fans?
It shakes the bag up, doesn't it? But I think that's needed. I think you've got to keep the Cody story relevant. If you saved it till after the Chamber, then what are you going to do with Cody? What's he going to be doing? I think it started off subtly. It started off slowly with Heyman in what was a classic Cody Rhodes by the numbers, emotional kind of wow. Heyman work of art that was. But it did everything that needed to be done to keep it fresh without moving it forward. So it's kind of added some like personal, kind of like a personal side of it to Cody. So it's not just business now. Now it's personal with Heyman as well, because Roman is the son that he always wanted. I think there's no reason why they can't keep them both going. And on SmackDown with Sami, we also saw a reference to Cody there as well. And the two-prong kind of attack, multitasking's good when it's done well and it's not confusing. And I think it was done well.
Okay, fair enough. Andy, with the trajectory they now seem to be going in of making it believable that both men have the potential to beat Roman, do you think there's more or less chance for Sami at the Chamber now?
I was thinking about this before, and I feel like there is more chance for him. Because I believe, especially now, the way they've done it on SmackDown, where people haven't seen SmackDown, good little promo between Sami and Paul, really good. But also the interaction between Sami and Jay. Now, everyone, me included, is thinking that Jay is going to turn on Sami, but I think Jay's going to help Sami, because let's remember Jay was the one who was at the start of the bloodline with Roman, and I think he's the one to end it.
Well, Sami dropped that very poignant line of saying, "We're on the verge of seeing something happen that I know you've wanted to happen for a very long time." That's Roman going down. Si, do you think that this is where Jay yet again becomes the main character in the story?
I don't think he's going to be the main character, but he's the main supporting character. He's got a lot of important things to do. From what we saw on SmackDown, I mean, the end, it was hinted that Roman was watching at home, and you maybe see more on the TV than you do if you're in attendance in the arena.
Yeah.
So I think the way this is going, it's classic misdirection. I think next week on SmackDown, we're going to see Roman with some classic projection and gaslighting to Jay, and Jay's going to be like browbeaten by it again. If Jay then turns up at Elimination Chamber, I think it's only going one way. It's Jay costing Sammy. I wish it was going the other way, but Jay costs Sammy. Sammy and Kevin then have a reason to fight the Usos at WrestleMania. Yeah.
Right. We might as well get to that point. If Sammy and Kevin are indeed going to get the booby prize and are going to be going after moving the focus from Sammy and Roman to Sammy and Kevin versus the Usos for the tag team titles, what do we think? Do we think that, I mean, if they do, I'm under the assumption that they're going to win them and they're the ones that are going to end the reign. But do we think this is at least a good angle to go into, or Andy?
It's a consolidation prize, isn't it? Go on, Andy.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're saying. So carry on, mate.
It reminds me, and I've said this for weeks now. I'm like, I know I'm like a broken record with it, but it reminds me of the time that Diesel threw down the tag belt and said, "What a pittance!" Because the push that Sammy's had organically, the fact he's so super over, winning the tag belts, it's a consolation prize. It's not what I want to see.
Right.
Sorry, just one second, please. Oh, 1 second. Just for
clarification's sake.
What a pittance.
Oh.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's going to be. Can you save it, though? Your theory about maybe Jay going the other way. So if Jay goes the other way, you potentially do get a triple threat or 2 title matches on 2 different nights at Mania. So there's still hope.
Exactly what I was going to was I had a thought today. If Sammy wins, Roman can always come out on SmackDown Raw after Elimination Chamber and say, yeah, that was for 1 belt. Nobody ever told me I had.
Or what else could happen is if Jay costs Roman, then, Adam Pearce could come out and strip one of the belts off Sammy.
Or it could just be unveiled by Heyman that because he's had that belt for 800 and whatever it is now days, that basically he gets an automatic rematch whenever he wants. So he inserts himself into Cody versus Sammy.
Perfect, yeah.
There's plenty of good endings.
I wouldn't want to, I'll be honest, mate, I wouldn't want to see that. It could happen, but I really wouldn't want to see that triple threat. I think it needs to be separated. The other thing you do is, I know they're saying it's the Undisputed Universal Champion now, but what an absolute arsehole move of Roman Reigns to come out on Friday and say, "Oh, you think you're getting it for the 2 belts? You're not worth 2 belts, you."
Yeah, that is entirely possible. If they're going to split the titles, they've got a chance to do it now. The opportunity is there. The question is, how many people in the audience? I know the 3 of us would like to see 2 belts back. Makes more sense with the 2 shows.
Not me.
Oh, really?
No, not me. I'm very much a less is more kind of guy when it comes to title belts. I mean, you've got I've lost count now with NXT UK kind of being disbanded, but I think there's well over a dozen in WWE. AEW have got that, if not a little bit more, with the Ring of Honor belts. There's too many titles for the hours of TV we've got. Less is more prestige. 1 title. That's the way to go.
I think the problem for me is if it was going to be that Roman Reigns would appear, on both shows, and that was going to happen, I'd be happy with that. But I feel like him having both titles and just going on to SmackDown, 1 is the value in Raw massively, and 2, when you've got a 2-night WrestleMania and stuff like that, it really hinders it, because unless you're going to have Roman as both nights, you've got a bit of an issue there, haven't you?
Well,
Because no disrespect intended, the women's division's not strong enough at present.
And it definitely leans to your point that they're advertising the match between Seth and Austin Theory on Monday as for the biggest title on Monday nights. And it's the mid-card US belt.
Yep.
The thing is, we all know that apparently the networks, USA, have been quite adamant that they want their own championship back. So I think it's inevitable that they're going to split those belts at some point. It's just
and don't forget as well, the deals are up in the summer.
Yes.
So if it's a time when WWE needs to appease the networks, it's right now.
Exactly. It needs to keep everybody happy.
Yeah.
And I would much rather have 2 belts right now than 1, because if we had 2 titles right now, there wouldn't be an issue with Sammy and Cody. There would be no issue at all, because Cody would go after 1 belt and Sammy would go after Roman for the other belt. Everyone would be happy and we'd all get what we want. But the fact that Roman is carrying both those titles is what's causing the main issue here. But anyway, we're going to move on, because that is enough about the hot story in wrestling this week. So we're going to move on to what I am super excited about, because I only found out about this about 10 minutes ago, because I haven't paid much attention to New Japan today. Jay White is leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling. Jay White is going to the US. Jay White is exploring other options. Now, I'm going to let Andy go first on this, because Andy, you're a new fan to Jay White. You are recently introduced to him.
Wrestle Kingdom Virgin, wasn't I?
Yes.
But Jay White is brilliant. I'll be very honest with you, I don't want to see him in AEW.
Thank you. I agree more.
I don't think he'd sit in well there. I would like to see him probably float around a little bit, maybe do some shows over WrestleMania. If he's got any sense, especially money-wise, he'll make his money on the road to WrestleMania from the independents and whatnot, and then in LA on the WrestleMania thing, unless WWE come knocking. Now, for me personally, the only way I would go to WWE if I was him is if they offered me a main roster spot. I wouldn't be going down the NXT route. And maybe a WrestleMania match at some point, which would be quite cool to see him do it. Yeah, if AJ's fit and well. But I just don't want to see him in AEW. At the present, I just don't see where he fits in.
Well, to counterpoint that, because I actually agree with you, I don't want to see Jay in AEW for other reasons. All of his friends are there, which is true. So I honestly think there would be, for Jay to start with, a lot of an insta push in AEW, but I do not trust Tony Khan's booking of late to keep Jay White relevant. I think he'd end up getting lost in the shuffle like Keith Lee has, like Swerve has, like so many guys that are top tier talents have got lost in the shuffle in AEW. And I personally believe that for Triple H, Jay White is a dream project. I have talked to my brother about this for a while now. To see Jay White in WWE with his promo skills and his general ability to make people truly despise him, but he would be an addition to the heel roster that I don't think they could do without. Simon, where do you want to see Jay end up? I mean, the other option, as Andy said, is the Indies. Would you rather see him doing the rounds, as it were, or would you rather see him go to one of the big 2?
Okay, so to preface this, I've got this thing where if I'm not super into a wrestler, or if I don't get them, after a while, I just kind of tune out of what they do. There's only half a dozen or so guys on this list, but Jay White is one of them. I see Jay White, and I'm probably going to get some abusive inboxes for this, but to hell with it. I see Jay White as a guy who's got the body of Triple H, the face of Brian Kendrick, and the personality of a complete charisma vacuum. Matches, great. Chef's kiss, great matches. He bores me to tears. So as a result of that, I don't want to see him in WWE. I did advertise this as having spicy takes tonight.
Right. So. A charisma vacuum.
Yes.
Have you paid attention to any of his promos in the last 2 years?
I've watched a few. I can't sit here and honestly say I've watched them all hand on heart, but yeah, I've watched a few. I don't get it. He's just one of those guys I don't get.
This is fair enough. You're entirely insane.
Well, I am, but that's besides the point.
This is fair enough.
Do they do a lot of promos in New Japan?
Jay does.
Pressures and stuff like that, yeah.
Jay cuts a lot. He's been talking to ever since everybody else ignored the fact that the crowd in New Japan had to wear masks and weren't allowed to make any noise. Jay White took it upon himself to direct this hatred towards the fans, saying, "How dare you not cheer for me? Why aren't you making noise? All the work that I'm putting in, the sacrifices I'm putting in, and you're not making any. This is distasteful." This went on for months until eventually the crowd started being allowed to make noise, and he kept telling them to shut up because it's too late now. You've had your chance.
Is that charisma? Is that charisma though, Nick, or is that just rude?
No, it's charisma. he has buckets of charisma. He is, as he calls himself, the catalyst to professional wrestling. Everywhere Jay White made Will Ospreay. Don't care what anybody says. You watch their series of matches in Ring of Honor for the TV title, which is what got Will his New Japan deal. He got them because Jay White was being watched by the New Japan boys because he was off on excursion. They spotted Will and went, "Ooh." Jay was friends with him, brought him into New Japan.
The way I see it is, yes, Jay White's had great matches with Okada. He's had great matches with Ospreay. He's had great matches with numerous guys over in Japan. But I think all of those guys, Omega as well, I think all of those guys have carried Jay White a little bit.
Okay, well, the true test is when he ends up on the big stage then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm going to give him a chance. You know, if he walks into AEW or WWE, I will give the guy a chance, a clean slate, and I'll see if I can get into the character. But like I say, I just hope it's AEW.
Yeah, I think maybe what I would probably say is as well is if you're gonna put Jay White over, maybe put him with AJ instead of putting him against AJ. Maybe put him with AJ for a bit so the crowd can get introduced to him and we can get used to, see what he does.
Well, the interesting thing there, if it is WWE playing devil's advocate, is not only have you got AJ, you've got Finn there as well, haven't you? So you've got quite a lot of the old Bullet Club history.
It would be interesting if, because I'm assuming it's going to end up with Finn versus Edge at Mania, and I think Judgment Day are going to disband after said match at Mania, because Rhea's going to be getting her big singles push, I presume. Dom will be doing his big singles push, and Damian Priest's going to get left in the shuffle.
Okay, let me just float something by you with that. Right, so I've been thinking about this. Have we ever had a woman lead a stable with males in it as well?
No, and I think Rhea should.
And I think that's the route. I think that's the route that we may go down. For some way, she will take over the leadership.
Okay, then
yes, we have.
Say she kicks Finn out the way they kicked Edge out. Who, Simon?
Could happen.
TNA with Trish leading Test and Albert. Thank you.
Oh my god.
That wasn't a faction. That was a tag team.
That was shit out. Yeah, go on.
The Hardy Boys and Terry Runnels.
No, she was a manager. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could have something along the lines of, because just hear me out on this. If anybody could be a good match for Rhea in her first match against the male, it would be Finn Balor.
I completely agree.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah,
I completely agree.
And then when Finn beats her, then Big Tom comes in and sorts it out.
No, but hypothetically, what if Rhea kicks Finn out? Finn's left in the shuffle for a while. AJ comes to Finn, says, "Look, I've been speaking to a friend of ours. We need to pull things together." Next week, Jay White, you build up to Jay White's unveiling. You've got a new faction of the 3 ex-Bullet Club leaders, and Andersons and Gallows, who are OG Bullet Club guys anyway. That's a strong faction on Monday nights, like a really strong faction on Monday nights.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question here? Sorry, mate. Right. So this is great for fans of New Japan. It's great for fans of that niche, like ourselves. Not so much you, Andy, because like you say, you're new to Japan. But for those that have watched it, that's great. But for like 80% of the WWE casual audience, it's not going to make sense. This Bullet Club stuff doesn't make sense to me.
No. But you're not wrestling the Bullet Club.
Yeah, it's the OC, isn't it? The only club or whatever they do in WWE, which is why they've done it, because they reference that. But also because Jay White's comfortable with AJ and the Good Brothers and whatnot, it'd be a good way to pop in with them I'm not saying because everyone will go mad about the club with the Bullet Club, but what I'm saying is putting him there would make him comfortable, and also aligning him with them would introduce him quite nicely.
Yeah, and people don't care if it's the Bullet Club. It's AJ and Finn. No, Gallows and Anderson are always there, but it'd be AJ and Finn that they were aligning him with. So it'd be a case of, they're putting this guy with these two big stars. It'd help really solidify where Jay would be introduced. But anyway, boys, sticking with New Japan, another bit of exciting news this week was my dear friend Kota Ibushi has decided that he is very, very possibly interested in going to one of the big two, be it AEW or WWE. I'm excited about this. I don't care where he ends up. There's a large part of me that kind of wants him to go to WWE because I've already seen most of the matches that he's had in AEW. There are quite a few people in AEW he has not wrestled yet, but for the most part, he's wrestled most of the guys that work there already. Whereas there's quite a few matches in WWE for Kota Ibushi to really shine. So, Andy, where do you want to see him end up?
Again, I don't think he's going to end up anywhere. I feel like I think he made a very big comment this week about the fact that he'll do what he wants.
Yeah, he did.
So I feel like he'll probably, I know we're going to see him on GCW, which we're going to see. But also I feel like you'll see him just plod about a little bit. I think Ibushi won't want to get caught up in anybody.
We've also, this past couple of days, he's announced he's opening a training school in Japan, like a dojo, which when you convert it, shout out to On The Mat, by the way, for this information, because he told me this the other night. When you convert the exchange rate from Japanese yen to English pounds, it works out around about £1,000 a month for 6 months to train to be a wrestler. Now, if he's doing that, even if he's got, people working for him that he's delegating to, I don't think he's going to have a full-time schedule in the US. No. So in that case, maybe AEW is more suited because then he can kind of come and go as he pleases.
Well, we all know that Kota Ibushi is famous for wrestling blow-up dolls, wrestling in forests, wrestling on roller coasters, pinning Kenny Omega in a theme park on top of a hot dog pin after a Phoenix splash off a popcorn machine. That was Kenny Omega's first pinfall loss on television. I would prefer to see Kota personally, the same as you guys. I'd like to see him go where he wants to go, wrestle where he wants to wrestle. But if we had to have him in one of the big two, if it came down to him saying, right, I'm in my 40s now, I need to see if I can make it on the big stage in the West. Simon, where would you rather see him end up? Which would be a better fit? Do you trust Tony Khan's booking enough over Triple H's? Because I don't think I do.
I'd still want to rant about this week's Dynamite on that note.
We're getting there next.
I think for purely matchups, I would like to see Ibushi in AEW. In terms of doing wild, crazy things that maybe he couldn't do in AEW, and some matchups that we've never had before, I'm with you. I think WWE is the way to go for him. We saw him there for a cup of coffee, didn't we? Back in the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah, Cruiserweight Classic.
All his matches were fantastic.
Right, and on the subject of booking, we're going to get to what I am calling Simon's Moment of the Week. So before me, I have the AEW card from Dynamite.
Awesome.
I'm going to go from top to bottom. I'm going to go through the card, and ladies and gentlemen, Simon is going to give his very, very strong opinion on this week's Dynamite. So, we're going to start with MJF versus Kensuke Takeshita.
Okay, for what it was, this was actually a really good match. I enjoyed it. I'm going to concentrate more on the negatives with this review because I'm critiquing the show. But it was my favorite match on the show. The backflip with MJF landing on his feet off the top rope. There was some good wrestling. We don't see MJF wrestle nearly enough. I think he wrestled 9 times last year in 2022. This is his first match this year. The The opener was good. But my issue with it, did he need to blade? Did he need to blade on camera and then pass it back to the referee? Did we need that in an opening match on a weekly television show? Because I don't think we did. That was the highlight of the show for me. It only gets worse. Next match.
Okay. Jamie Hayter versus the Bunny in what I absolutely despise personally, a eliminator match.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you saw the end of the match, guys. You saw that the Bunny was either almost or actually knocked out. There's rumors that it could be a broken orbital bone. I'm not quite sure if those results have come out yet. Jamie literally picked her up and hit the finisher, even though she was probably quite badly hurt. I think it went like 6 minutes. Again, do we need these elimination matches? Jamie is much better than this. And that moves on to the whole segment that we had with Soraya and Toni Storm. Now, I saw nothing but parodies of it on my Twitter feed the other day. It's a good idea in principle. If you're going to have two girls that have come from outside the company, but why call them the outsiders? Okay, why do that? It was cool 27 years ago.
Because Tony Khan is a WCW fanboy.
Yeah. Okay, so paraphrase it. You know, call them the others. Call them whatever. Okay, you don't need to call them the outsiders. But on that note, to me, it's obvious that Britt Baker is going to be the Hulk. But yeah, going off on a tangent.
Next match.
Basically, the whole segment with the forearm to the back was weak as anything. The spray paint, it was cringe, man. It was cringe. Next match was the gauntlet, right?
Next match was the Garcia-Guevara gauntlet match for Ricky Starks, where Ricky Starks had to go through Angelo Parker, Matt Bernard, Daniel Garcia, and Ricky Starks. But for some God knows what reason, he didn't win. Simon? Now,
kudos to Chris Jericho for actually spending the entire show up until that point under a Rey Mysterio mask at ringside. He must have been there, half an hour. Okay, so my complaint with this match, 2.0 are one of my favorite tag teams. I love them in NXT. I love them in the Indies. I love them in AEW. They haven't had nearly enough wins. When you are giving the belts to a team that you are giving the belts to in the main event, no less, okay, why are 2.0 losing one in 1 minute and 17 seconds and the other one in about 27 seconds? Why are you squashing these guys when they barely get on television? They are better than the team that won the tag titles in the main event. That's my first complaint with it. Secondly, it's a gauntlet match, okay? This gauntlet match is WWE style television. Now, I'm the first guy that says, I wish they did more storylines. I wish they did more entertainment. But when they do it like that and it comes across as such a wish version, I don't want to see it. It did nothing for the story. The story's dragged on far too long already.
Little sidebar. There's been a lot of discussion online recently about the Chris Jericho problem in AEW. Andy, I'm going to ask you this. Then we'll get back to your critique in a sec. Everybody that seems to have an angle with Chris Jericho has a hot beginning and a reasonably good end point. But the whole middle section is just 50-50 booking. Do you think there's any way to get Chris Jericho to change what he's doing with people to help elevate them, as opposed to everyone just ending up right back where they started after they finished with Chris?
Yeah, Tony needs to get a grip of him. Massively. And that's what it is. It's like Chris at the moment is doing what Chris wants to. And he does well for a while. But then in the end, it becomes like too much. As you say, it always got to end with Chris winning. And that needs to stop, really.
Yeah.
But also, can I have a bit of a rant, please?
Of course you can.
Right. First things first, Arse Boys, what were they thinking? Why on earth did they stop their claim? I just don't get it. I really don't get it. You know, it's like they try to enhance the wrong people and they screw over the ones that shouldn't be happening.
I unfortunately think I know why he's done it. It's stupid, but he's done it so the Acclaimed don't lose steam when they get beaten by FTR. He's going to give FTR the tag belts to try and keep them to resign. But he doesn't want to take the heat off the Acclaimed. So he's put the belts on the Ass Boys so they can drop him to FTR to hopefully keep him in the company, and then he'll run FTR as heels versus the Acclaimed.
Okay, but why the Ass Boys? When, like I said before, you've got 2.0, you've got Butcher and the Blade, you've got a whole list, Top Flight. There's a whole list of teams that would fill that void, that would be those transitional champions that are way better than the Ass Boys.
Okay. Right. Now, back to you, Simon. We'll go to what was my favourite match on AEW Dynamite. Roosh versus Bryan Danielson. Now, personally, before you go, I thought this was yet again a Bryan showcase.
Yeah.
All of these matches for building up to the MJF Iron Man, I felt have been showcases of different angles and aspects of Bryan Danielson's in-ring capabilities. Go.
The match was great. Again, it's a personal preference of mine that you don't need blood, particularly that kind of gash that Bryan had in matches like that. Well, that's just a pet peeve, okay? My issue with this match was the whole storyline going into it. So last week or the week before, we saw MJF basically paying off Roosh to take out his opponent for him, wasn't he? He was like, take him out before the pay-per-view. So if he's paid Roosh to injure Bryan, why does he then lock Bryan in a cupboard so Bryan can't get to the ring for Roosh to injure him? It makes no sense. Somebody make it make sense. Explain it to me. It makes no sense.
No, there's no logical reason to it, but
and it didn't add anything to the match.
Right. Also, right, we go from the nonsense to the downright stupid. Right. Now, sadly, AEW lost World Ring of Honor because obviously AEW, until this happens, we're not allowed to even mention his name on television. And Paul, we lost Mr. Briscoe. Not long ago, was really sad. Tony come out and, we're going to support and we're going to do that. Okay, mate, so why let MJF start going on about drink driving and crashes, you stupid idiot?
Yeah.
Why on earth? What an absolutely stupid move. And why would you let that even happen on your own TV show?
I thought this was distasteful. I thought this was a stupid decision. And I do not understand. Believe it or not, people bought into the story so much that apparently there were over 300 phone calls to
300
the police department.
Yeah.
Saying that MJF should be arrested for committing a felony. But that's not the point. The point is, as you say, this was less than 3 weeks after the passing of Jay Briscoe in a car crash. This was a disrespectful and stupid business decision. Simon,
however,
can you see? Oh,
I sorry, mate, to interrupt you, but however, I was going to add that it's only a week or two before that he made a comment about no one being as hated as a Jew since Hitler or something like that. He's getting in the habit of getting this like Vince Russo-esque kind of like shock value to his heelisms. So he's basically trying to offend people. Now that makes me think that it was deliberate and it just wasn't a coincidence. The whole story, kind of making reference to it being Liv Morgan as well. It's hard to watch. It's going to offend people, but I'm all for heels doing that. Because so many heels nowadays are watered down, and there's so many taboo topics that they can't comment on. It's refreshing.
Scared to create heat. But
to me, that just shows. I'm sorry, Nick, to cut you off. This is why AEW needs a filter, unfortunately, and not against Max. Max has done his job great, as he always does. I've got no problem with the way he offends people and that. But come on, man, use your head. We've just had this terrible tragedy. You've done all this good stuff, and then you let yourself down by something so stupid by letting that go on television.
All he had to do was say it was a plane crash. That's Rick Flair.
Or turn around and go on about something to do with, he got called around the corner with a girl and he threw something, there's other ways you could go down that route. And, why didn't... So, and yeah.
So
the way I understood his story as well, when he's like, I had to move her lifeless body over to the passenger side or something, it kind of inferred that she'd died. So basically, he's stupid for cutting that promo because he's basically admitting that he's murdered somebody on live television, which is why the police department got 300 calls. I'm all for freedom of speech, right? But they need guidance from a script, and that goes back to Tony. It was just too soon after the Jay Briscoe thing. Way too soon.
Far too soon.
Yeah.
But we're going to move on, guys, because I don't want to wind anybody up carrying on this.
Ah, boys, what were you thinking?
What were you thinking? I want to have my piece on this.
Right. Boys.
The Acclaimed are the most naturally, organically over tag team in AEW. Can we all agree on that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're right.
Yeah.
I can't think of another team that's organically got over the way the Acclaimed has, considering where they started.
Yeah.
They're homegrown. They're 2 months into their tag reign? Maybe 3?
Might be about 3, yeah.
Yeah, 3 months into the tag reign. The Ass Boys have had less wins than any other tag team in AEW. They have been on TV less than any other tag team in AEW. Their only contribution to the roster is their dad. And never, ever, ever wearing a shirt. This is all the Ass Boys seem to have done, as far as I can take it. I do not understand I do think I understand what I said before. I think it's because he's going to try and, what a pittance, give the tag belts to FTR to try and get them to re-sign. He doesn't want to cool off the Acclaim, so he's put it on another heel team that the FTR can steamroll, and then we can go into a heel FTR versus the Acclaimed for tag titles. But Jesus Christ, FTR might not re-sign. It doesn't matter. You could offer them the tag belts and they can tell you to go take a long walk off a short pier. This is a stupid booking decision. You've literally just cooled the jets of the most over act you had. A homegrown act that nobody can say you stole from WWE.
Okay, let me ask you this question, both of you. Was it a TK booking decision or a Young Bucks booking decision?
Ooh. Either way, that's not a good thing, right?
I think it was Tony, because as far as I know, they don't have that kind of power anymore.
Well, I've heard they still book the tag team division.
Do they? Well, in that case, that was a stupid-ass move from the Young Bucks.
But it wasn't stupid for them.
Well, no, but they're in the trios titles. They're not going to be anywhere near the tag belts for a while now.
What I was going to add about the Ass Boys, and I think we're all agreed that it was a stupid decision, is if they were going to do it, you have Billy Turn, or you bring in Uncle Bart, or a storyline reason. Don't just... Nah. But we did miss out the trios belts, right?
No, I was about to get to the trios titles.
Okay.
As we're speaking about the Young Bucks, we have, from what was a fantastic match the other week, the Top Flight beat the Young Bucks. Great booking decision. We led to the Top Flight and AR Fox, the former Dante Fox, versus the Elite, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. I thought this match was a great offensive exhibition. It was not a story to be told in this match. It was Flippy Boys doing flippy things for flippy time and Kenny Omega kneeing people in the head quite a lot.
Do you know what, Jimmy? Sorry to just cut in. Jimmy said something very, very interesting the other day on when you two were talking on his podcast, where he was saying about the fact that, like, the way he looks at some of these matches now, he looks at them as like kind of gymnastic kind of thing.
Yeah, an athletic display.
I went back and watched this match and based it off that. And you know what? I just want to say bravo to Jimmy because I enjoyed the match off that basis.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm very similar to Jim. I don't look at the Young Bucks for telling stories. I watch a Young Bucks match to see Flippy Boys do flippy things. Yeah. And see how well. It's like Simon Diamond famously said that when he watched Rob Van Dam, he called it offensive exhibitions. And you didn't watch a Rob Van Dam match to see the match. You watched him to do Rob Van Dam things and grade them out of 10.
Yeah.
And it's very similar with the Young Bucks. You watch a Young Bucks match to watch them do Young Bucks things and grade them out of 10. But Sai, what did you think of the defense? Did you think it was telegraphed that the Elite were going to win? Or did you enjoy the general flippiness?
So a few weeks ago, I said to our good friend again on the mat, he's getting so many shout outs tonight. I said to him when Top Flight beat the Young Bucks, I said to him, that's only happened because Tony Khan is using 50-50 booking, and in 2 or 3 weeks, it'll be the other way around. They'll get a trios tag title shot with Fox and lose. And that's exactly what happened. I knew Kenny was going to pin Fox before the match even began. it was so predictable. It's not always a bad thing. The actual athleticism, like you say, Andy, was good. It was entertaining. It's just the 50-50 thing. AEW, like hardcore fans, are the first people to critique 50-50 booking, and yet when it happens in their company, it's the best thing since sliced bread. That's hypocrisy.
Okay. Right, well, I think that's enough about AEW. We've all had a bit of a rant. None of us were really happy with the flow and ebb of the show this week.
No.
But, right. Vince, as we know, is back. Right? He forced his way back onto the board, replaced a load of board members with yes men, and because he was under the insistence that he was the only one that could get the price that WWE was worth. It's been released in the last couple of days that many people involved in the sale now see Vince as a hindrance to this sale. Si, you pay more attention to this than I do. In what way is Vince a hindrance, besides obviously all the legal obligations? Do you think that he doesn't really want to sell, and he's kind of blocking things that way, or?
I think what this means is from the other board members' point of view, instead of voting and taking on what is best for the company and for the individuals that are going to profit from the sale, Vince's main prerogative is what's best for Vince. And I think maybe that is the hindrance that they're referring to. That's just my take. I wasn't at the board meeting. I don't know.
Okay. Andy, do you think Vince really wants to sell?
Yeah, I do. I feel like, we've had all this stuff with the SEC and stuff like that, which I think is hindering the sale because it's targeted at Vince. I think Vince knows he's going into the Swan Song, whether he likes it or not. I believe Vince is there to make sure the sale goes through quicker rather than people trying to get the best deal. I think Vince wants it to go through and wants to get it done because I think we're in a bit of a Jordan Belfort situation here, maybe, where, these SC. I was watching a podcast with Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street, for anyone who doesn't know who Jordan is. And he was saying that the SEC were watching him and assessing him like a year or so before they actually arrested him. And I've got a feeling that there's something like this going along the line because everyone keeps saying the Wall Street Journal was saying about the SEC investigations. There's some other things as well in terms of these allegations of women and stuff like that. So I think Vince wants to get his money out of there and he wants to get it out of there safely before anything happens, because if he was to be arrested and stuff like that, he could be forcibly removed from the board and any decision on sale or anything like that will be took out of his hands.
Very true. Very true. Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Well, honestly, I've not got a lot to say on this, due to the fact that, honestly, I don't care who WWE sell to. I'm in firm belief that whoever buys WWE, as long as it's not the Saudis, will pretty much probably just let it do its own day-to-day operations and just roll in the money. They made over $1 billion in profit for the last 5 years in a row. They know what they're doing, I think. I mean, if Fox buys it, they'll be fine. They've been working with them for years. If whoever owns USA buys it, it's fine. They've been working with them for years. I know NBC backed out of the deal, but honestly, I don't think this is going to hinder WWE's progress, sold or unsold. So it doesn't really bother me so much. So I'm just going to move on, guys, because it's just business talk, and there's been so much of it in the last year. We need to move on to other things. So, bit of a random one to end, right? And this week on Monday nights, we saw the modern age wrestling god kind of put in his place by the old school wrestling god with the sentence, "You can't polish a turd, and I tried." Now, they have Baron Corbin is who we're talking about, and I honestly believe he's one of the best heels that they've got. He's a massive safe pair of hands. He's very good in the ring. He's good on the mic. He will do anything, as we saw from bum-ass Corbin all the way to Happy Corbin, which was horrendous with awful, awful entrance music. Andy, What's next for Baron?
For me personally, it's the Lone Wolf. I think that's what we need to go back to. I feel like that's what is where he needs to be. All right, Jim. Sorry, just got very sidetracked there because when I see the Drip King enter, I've got
Hello, Jimmy.
But yeah, I think the Lone Wolf's probably the best place for him to go now. I think it was the one that's probably worked him out. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed the whole Happy Corbin thing and I enjoyed the old journey there. I thought he done well. If you want my opinion, I'd keep him off telly until after Mania because I feel like he's, as you say, he's a safe pair of hands, but he's also being very consistent. As inconsistently, he's constantly there. And I think like maybe now's the time to draw him back a little bit before then bringing him back again.
Well, if you do keep him off till, say, the Raw after Mania, which would be ace, if we saw him come back as the Lone Wolf with Triple H doing the NXT character reset on a lot of his boys, I could see that happening. And it'd be cool if they started having Baron come out and squash people in under 30 seconds again. Just for several weeks and then move on. Side, what's your ideal thing for Baron Corbin? Do you see him ever recovering from this, or do you think it's just this is the straw that breaks the camel's back?
Okay, weirdly, and personally, I didn't actually think it was that bad. I thought JBL was getting quite a lot of heat, much like, Dan Lambert in AEW. It's that kind of heat, that, go away heat. Corbin, like you say, he's always good in the ring. And he has taken 3 or 4 losses in a row. So I don't think this is a sudden decision like some of the journalists online are reporting. I think maybe there's more planned. He's put over so many guys. Originally, I wanted to see him wrestle Steve Austin at Mania because he is a safe pair of hands and he's that good of a heel. Now, are we going to see JBL bring in somebody to go against him? Or is it just going to get written off for a few weeks, like you say? I spent years not appreciating Baron Corbin, kind of similar to what I was saying about Jay White before. And then I got him. And in terms, in ring, he'll never be the best wrestler. But in terms of the heat he generates and his character, he's fantastic.
Well, I kind of agree with Jimmy.
That's a good point, Jimmy. Yeah, that was a good point.
Corbin. He was, for me, it felt like JBL was there to beat JBL. But like, hey, look, I'm John Bradshaw. Look how great I am.
It's pretty much JBL's style, that as well, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it always has been. Always has been. Okay, and just to finish off, guys, before we go, I want to talk about Chelsea Green.
Ooh.
Have we all been paying attention to what Chelsea's been doing since she showed up?
She's a Karen.
She's a Karen. Yeah. Yes, she is. She's a complete Karen. I love this character. I think it's hilarious. The fact that she came on yesterday and said she had facial amnesia. So how could she be expected to remember who somebody was an absolute genius line. My question is this. They put her with Sonya Deville. Do you see them keeping Chelsea in a tag team with Sonya? Or do you think they're going to move her on to something else?
For the next week or two, maybe, just to feed them to Ronda and Shayna, because obviously they're the ones building. But just a question, if you don't... In fact, I'll let you give your answer, and I want to go on to Sonya and... Ronda and Shayna very quickly.
Okay.
My answer is the same as yours, mate. I think it'll work for a few weeks, maybe building up to a 4-way women's tag match at Mania or something like that, but that's it. So, yeah, carry on with what you were going to say.
And also, just to say, that's not a disrespect to Chelsea, by the way. I like Chelsea and I like what she's doing. I just feel WWE think like they can do something like that and then reset you in a week. They always have done. And I think when they put you in a tag team, they feel like when they split that tag team up, they can make you big. And I suppose Sonya Deville is good to take a few pins for Chelsea when they split up, so that'll be good as well. Also, just because we've got Ronda and Shayna, I don't know, obviously, Nick, you've seen it as well. I don't know whether you've seen SmackDown yet. So, Ronda made a return, didn't she? And she helped out Shayna. Now, what's confusing for me is going into WrestleMania, surely you can't have Damage Control versus Ronda and Shayna. Surely that doesn't work. And if not...
4-way.
Okay. And if not, who else do you put in that match?
Who are the other two teams?
So you had Liv and Tegan. I'm not sure what's going on with my girl Tegan Knox, but I think it's going to be Liv and Raquel now. And then, like you say, Sonya and Chelsea have just been kind of put together. So I think you've got that four-way,
I was under
two
the
face
assumption
teams, two heel teams.
I figured it'd be me, him, and Candice LeRae.
That'd also work. Maybe it'll be a gauntlet match.
This is where it's annoying that they've split up Toxic Attraction because they'd be perfect or something like that.
Yes, it is. Right, but actually, on to Toxic Attraction, bit of NXT news. So, that was a barbershop moment.
Yeah. Have you seen it, right? Frame for frame. From the hug to the raising of the arm to the super kick.
It's a barbershop moment. God bless Sean for booking it. I thought it was brilliant. I mean, that shot that Gigi takes to the face, if you've seen the bruise, like, it's horrendous. But
I think the door was meant to break.
The weird thing is, I feel like Sean has done it, but with the roles reversed.
Yes!
Marty has super kicked Sean.
Yes.
Right? Not Sean super kicking Marty.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, Gigi should not be the Jannetty. 100% agree.
No. Gigi is the Sean of this team. She always has been.
She should be the heel. Yeah.
Yeah, but, Andy, you just said they shouldn't have split up Toxic Attraction. I'm in agreement. I think they should have kept them together and put them on the main roster.
Yeah.
But they have split up Toxic Attraction. How do you think they're going to go with this? The simple question was to break them up, Jim. Do you see Gigi getting the Jannetty treatment, or do you think they're going to flip it?
No, I think Gigi will go to the main roster.
Ooh.
I think she goes on her own. Because again, for some stupid reason, even though it's watch all of our products, WWE have always had the way of saying, well, Gigi will show up on SmackDown and there'll be nothing said about it on NXT.
Yeah, completely. Okay. Right, well, that's just about it for this week, lads. Nothing much else to talk about. So, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. If you appreciate what we do here at Wrestling Legion, please join the Legion. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. Hit like on the video. It really helps us out. It makes the algorithm know we exist. And we just appreciate it. We do this for fun, but any help you can give us is really appreciated. I've been Nick the Geek. He's been Simon. He's been Andy. We'll see you next week. I can't find the outro. Got it.